Welcome to Courtside Moms. I'm your host, Wendy Sparks. Today, my guest is Barbarita Springer, the awesome, fantastic mother of Jaden Springer of the Philadelphia 76ers. Thank you. That's right. Thank you, Barbarita, for coming on the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm delighted to be here. I really appreciate the invite.
Oh, of course. And I'm so blessed that now we can learn things about Jaden that we probably never knew. And there's no better person than to tell us about mom. So with that said, let's go back to your first memory of Jaden falling in love with basketball.
Oh, goodness. 4 years old. He was like, Mom, I want to play. I want to play. I said, Jaden, you can't play. It's nowhere around here for you to play. It was 2 rec centers that allowed 4-year-olds to play. So I let him play, and it was so god awful because I have, 2 older boys that play, and it was so awful. So I let him play that year, and I was like, okay, I can't do this. My nerves are too bad. And so 4 is when he started, and I kept him out a year after that. Because again, my nerves were too bad. He would speed down the court before all the kids with the ball, hold it until his teammates came, and then would pass it to his teammates and wouldn't shoot the ball or score. And he was the tallest and fastest little boy on the court. And so, my nerves were bad. So I kept him out at 5. And then he kept, bugging me about playing, and he would go outside and play with the kids in the neighborhood every single day. And then we let him start back at 6 years old, but then again, just at the rec league. So, yeah.
That is so cute. You should have put him in track since he was the first down to the other end.
Oh, gosh, I put him in soccer. I wanted him to be a soccer player. I put him in soccer, and he was like, Mom, I don't want to do this. And so I was like, okay. So when he got a little bit older, I put him in football because I didn't want him to play one sport. I wanted him to play more than one sport. So, so that's our early years.
That's amazing, though. You know what? It's important to get our kids involved in different things. I mean, sometimes they choose something and they just want to run with that and that only. And I always thought, you know what? I love the fact that you know what you want to do, but let's explore different things just in case. And then you can ultimately make your decision and then decide. For me, my son didn't want to play basketball.
Oh,
he started, wanted no part of it, and came back when he was 13. So you never know, right?
Never know. And Jaden, he was like a really good football player. I thought he was a better football player than basketball. He played football for 2 years, and he was like, Mom, football gets me out of basketball shape. I just want to focus on basketball. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, I'm sure. So we went with basketball I think he's just only played basketball from 13 on. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's been doing ever since.
Okay, so then that's like middle school and then to high school, then he played, right?
Yes.
So high school, he went to Rocky River in North Carolina, and then later went to IMG in Florida. So let's talk about his high school days and what led him to ultimately change schools.
Well, we went to Rocky River High School for 2 years. And of course, Jaden's a Charlotte boy. Because his 8th grade year, he went to school in Antioch, Tennessee. My husband did not want him playing against middle school guys. He wanted him to play against high school guys as an 8th grader. So he played against Jaren Jackson. He's played so many of the NBA players now. He's played against them. It's so awesome, as an 8th grader. And then we brought him back to Charlotte, and we had to figure out, okay, do we want to do public? Do we want to do private? And I had a friend that was a coach at Rocky River High School. He's like, please let him come. I was like, the school, I don't know, because they have a C grade, and he's always been on the honor roll and honors classes. And so I said, let me give Rocky River a try. The principal said, you can make his schedule. We'll keep him in honors classes. We can put him in AP classes. You tell us what you want. So I said, well, this must be a good thing here. Let me give it a try. Went to the school, and it was just, I love Rocky River. Jaden started there, and hardly nobody would come to the games. And I couldn't understand. I was like, why are the kids not coming to support the games? Halfway through the season, all of our games were sold out. And for 2 years, that was the most money the Booster Club had made since the school had started. And then we had a lot of the NFL players, NBA players coming to our games. They didn't realize that, I really like this. I mean, he was like a little rock star. They were announced it on a hip hop station here, which is big. And so he said, but I want to play against national competition. I want to win a national championship. So I said, okay, well, let's figure it out. So he had every school from here to California wanting them, you know, prolific prep. It was Oak Hill and so on and so forth. And but I wanted a school where because a lot of these schools, the coaches don't teach. It's only about winning basketball games. I didn't want that. I wanted a coach that was a dad who could still understand my son and can relate to my son, you know, from a father standpoint, you know. So we decided to go down and look at IMG. And so we had, you know, 3 McDonald's All-Americans that was on that team. And so, you know, they convinced Jaden, you're our missing piece. And Jaden was like, I don't know. I mean, Armando Baycott's there, Josh Green, and Josh is playing with the Dallas Mavericks now. Yep. He said, I know Jeremiah Robinson Earl, he's playing with OKC now. So he said, I don't know. I said, well, you decide. Beautiful campus, lots of security. So I said, well, you think about it. And so if you want to go, then let me pray about it and we'll figure it out. And next thing I know, he decided to go and won a national championship that year. And the rest is history. He just kept working.
So is it safe to say at that point, he knew the direction he wanted to go? There was a possibility of, now at this point, he saw like, you know what, I want to make this bigger. It's not just basketball. I want to go far with this. And I had to put myself in a different position. Rocky River's great program, but I need something different, something that could probably push me on into a different level.
Absolutely, because there was really no competition for him on the team. He was already #1 in the state of North Carolina. He's won all the accolades you can win in North Carolina. So, you know, he knew that to get better, you have to be pushed in practice. And that's one thing, you know, my husband and my older boys always knew you have to be pushed because there was nobody on the team that could push Jaden. There was nobody better than him on the team or anything. So going to IMG and you already have these guys from different places who were, you know, #1 in their states and who was really good, could push him and help him to get better. Iron sharpens iron.
You know what, IMG is known to prep players for the pros. So it's good that you found that place that can help your son get to where he wants to be. Everybody has that common goal. They all want it to be in the league, right? So it's, to me as a parent, I'm like, wow, that's a good opportunity. And it's good that you have those resources to find this out because some parents just don't know. They don't know what schools, you know what I mean? They're all wonderful in their minds because they don't do what they're supposed to do to really find out. So with that said, when scouts came to see your son at games, what did they share with you about his talent and what did you do with that information?
I actually did not talk to any of the scouts. I didn't. And basically, because my husband had played, and I'm not sure if you're aware, he got drafted to the 76ers, you know, had a knee injury at the end of his career. He already knew some of the things that Jaden needed to work on and needed to do. So we really didn't talk to a lot of the scouts. Of course, he would get feedback and get information. But we always said we're not going to put the cart before the horse because we felt like it was so much that he needed to work on, it still needs to work on. And even with getting to college, you just don't know. You want to believe and feel like you're putting him in the hands of the right coach, but you never know how things can go. You know, coaches can determine and dictate sometimes what a player does and does not do. So we had to wait and see what that year of college was going to be like.
So what were those games like for you though? Because now you went and chose Tennessee. What were those games like for you?
Wow. It was nerve-wracking at times. I was upset at times. I had a lot of questions like, okay, did he choose the right school? Because we did not choose for him. We wanted him to choose. I wanted him to go to another school, but I would not share that with him because I wouldn't be on the court with him. I wouldn't be at practice when the coach is yelling. I wouldn't be in the classroom. And one thing, you know, Jaden, like I said, he's always been an honest student. I made sure that even at college, I was able to have access to his grades and things like that. So it was tough at times. I went to every single game, home and away, except for one. So it was tough to watch sometimes because I could see that the coach was dictating somewhat of how he should play. When I thought you recruited him for 3 years, you already know his style of play. And I felt like it was being changed a little. So it was kind of difficult sometimes watching it. But I just stayed prayerful and, just kept encouraging him to continue to work hard, continue to do everything you know to do, and it's going to all work out.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're choosing schools for our kids, we really have to be very careful because coaches can recruit and just sell you what they want to sell you. They sell you this pipe dream. Oh, Jaden's going to do this and he's going to do that for my program.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's tough as parents to really make that decision. So how did you filter that info that you've collected before choosing Tennessee and use that to your advantage?
Well, the information that I collected was I kept close relationship with some of the other coaches that was recruiting him, because I always felt like if Jaden left this school and had to go to another school, I would have a close relationship with these coaches and say, now I would say, I think you should probably look at this school. I feel like this would be a good fit and he'll take care of you. And he understands exactly where you want to go because he's been there. So, I tried to process that whole, but the coaches are salesmen. College coaches are salesmen.
Right.
I'm going to be very honest. They're salesmen.
Mhm.
They tell you a lot of, what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And even with, like I said, with my older boys, you try and filter through with it. Again, my choice was for him to go to another school, but I would not make the decision or tell him where I thought he should go, because I wouldn't be on the court in the classroom and practice with him. Same thing with high school. He got homesick at IMG and his teachers called him like, maybe you should bring him home for a few days. And he was there for a month. I brought him home. I said, you decided to go there. You said you were going to win a national championship. You go back down there and do what you set out to do. So again, I kept that same mindset with college. When things got rough, you chose this school. Let's ride it out. Let's focus, continue to work hard, continue to do everything that you know to do. We're going to pray about it, trust God, and that's all we can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, there's times when we have to teach our kids, this is a decision that was made. So we have to stick to that decision. Just don't give up just because it seems a little hard. Life is hard.
Right.
You just have to own up to it. We just ride it through, like you said, pray about it, like you said, and let's see what happens, but at least finish that year.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful thing that in the end he stayed. And, not everybody has that, first of all, opportunity to get scholarships, to go to school, first of all. And receiving scholarships for our kids, it's a huge blessing. Sometimes we get too many to choose from. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's such a blessing. And I still don't believe God make mistakes. There was a reason for him to be there. So I'm sure he learned something and got something out of it. And again, for me as a parent, I know what that coach sat in my house and looked me in my face and said, and what he told me didn't line up with what he actually did. So that was kind of the tough part for me. But Jaden has such a strong support system that we don't believe in starting something and not finish it. Because to be honest, quite a few of his classmates, they left school before it was over with, or they sat out, or they start looking at transfer opportunities and didn't finish out the year. We never allow any of our kids to start something and not finish.
Yeah. So when choosing schools, there's a huge process. And in my opinion, we should do research on the school, their academics, history of the basketball team and the program, vet the coach. So what was on your important list for Jaden, and what tips would you give to parents of up and coming potential players?
Well, I've always been the one high on academics. My husband was the basketball guy, because I felt like basketball would take care of itself. That's his love, that's his passion, that's his drive. Now, academically, I have to make sure he stay focused because I know all he wants to do is play basketball. Same thing with IMG. Academics was my priority. I didn't care about, well, I did look at the dorms. I wanted to make sure he had a nice place to live. So academics was high on my list because I wanted to make sure that academically he would be okay and make sure they had the support in place. And also I wanted to look at his living arrangements. Where are they living? So I wanted to see the dorms. I wanted to talk to the coaches and find out, okay, how are you supporting your kids? How do you keep them together and things like that? Because University of Tennessee is big, so I wanted to find out all that stuff, and I asked questions. I talked to the assistant coaches, and Rob Lanier was actually the lead recruiter for Jaden, and Rob Lanier ended up leaving, getting a head coaching job somewhere else. And so it's like, oh, and Rob Lanier is like family because his son played with Jaden for 3 years for AAU. Yeah. So he's been to my home many times, and we've been around each other. So I knew if he was there, Jaden would be okay. So once he left, I started second guessing, and I was like, well, I just have to let Jaden make this decision. So, but yeah, I looked into the school. I wanted to make sure academically the university was on point and can help Jaden in his future. So I always thought he should go into journalism, actors, because he has that look, and he speaks well, and of course he doesn't see that for himself. So I said, well, you know what, University of Tennessee can offer that, So that was the thing, the living environment, the academics, that's what I was concerned about. The basketball arena, I mean, they seat 20-something thousand, the gyms, they have all that stuff in place for basketball. What are the living arrangements like, and what are the academics like? That was my priority.
Yeah, and that's good advice that you're giving people, because your kids have to feel comfortable. They're there for a minute. It's easy for us to say, you know what I mean? Don't worry, you'll be fine. But they're the ones that are away from home. I mean, he already had experience with being away from home, but still, at the end of the day, family is family. And you throw that piece in where, oh, well, the coach is there, him, you have that familiarity, and then he leaves too. So now it's like, oh, now I really have to, you know what I mean? Find Jaden, what I mean?
Yeah.
And find my own person who I really am as a kid, right? So right. And it's tough, but you know what? Our kids are so resilient that they make do because they think of what the future is going to bring out of what they're currently doing.
Like we always say you have to sacrifice, and I would tell him, me as a parent, I have to sacrifice. I can be on vacation, but I'm running around the country, chasing after you, using my vacation days from work, and making sure you're okay. Another thing I looked at, I didn't want him far away from home. I was able to drive 3.5 hours and get to him. When he was at IMG, I catch a flight and I was there in like an hour and 15 minutes and things like that. So I always wanted him close. So that was a thing too, but I kind of kept that to myself. Because I remember he used to want to always go to school in California. And I was like, oh, Lord, please don't let him go to California. And so luckily he didn't. But yeah, I looked at all that,
It's true. It's true. I remember people telling me or asking me about my sacrifices. And, as a mom, what do you do? And how does this work? And I was like, you know what? For me, the sacrifice I felt that I missed out on was being his mom in person. Those, you know what I mean? Those teenage years, he was gone.
Yeah,
he was gone.
I think I didn't miss out on that because, again, I was at the school all the time. I went to all the games, home and away. So, IMG flew all around the country, so I was there. So I didn't miss out. Thank God, my job, Wells Fargo, allowed me to have all these vacation days, know. So I'm able and was blessed to do that. But it's a sacrifice, all the way around financially. It's a sacrifice, I have a younger son, so I had to make sure he's okay. He and Jaden are 16 months apart. So I always had to make sure he was okay. It felt like, mom's not just leaving me for my brother, so I had to include him, so I always wanted to make sure that everything was in line, and I'm not neglecting one, but also, keeping in mind that I have to go and support Jaden as well.
Absolutely. And it's tough, like you said, when you have more than one kid and you're And you're, like you said, you don't want one to feel like you're supporting the other. I had the same situation. You know, my youngest son was home too. And when my son went to college, he went to UNLV. And oh my God, that's a 6-hour flight. So
Yeah.
it wasn't just like I just pick up and drive and go. No, it was a 6-hour flight. So I wasn't going for a weekend. I wasn't going to Vegas for a weekend. I was literally going for a week at a time. That's very expensive. Now I can't always bring my youngest son. I mean, he came with me a few times, but let me tell you, after sometimes I was like, I feel really bad and I'm going to be there for your games. Don't worry. So as a mom, sometimes we stretch ourselves thin, right?
Yeah.
And just hoping that our kids understand in the future, which now I'm blessed that both of them, the 29 and 23, they get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
As kids, it was tough. But so for me, when I look at sacrifices, I just miss those years where I wish I had with him as a 16-year-old, 17 in the house. And you know what I mean? I didn't get always that chance to yell and go clean your room. It was more, did you clean your room? I had no idea. It was over the phone. You know, so
I would go to IMG like, okay, why isn't your room clean? Because, you know, they would have the attendants to go and search the room, and they'll put a little note on the door. I'm like, why is this note on the door? Your room, like, why are your clothes all on the floor? So, you know, it was still, I was still so hands-on. And then AAU, every single AAU game. So if he would fly to school on a Friday, I was flying, you know, from Charlotte on a Friday, and then we would meet up. And so we would be together the whole weekend. So I think I feel blessed and fortunate that I did not miss out too much in those years. Felt like I was just so present, you know, and it also helped too, because, you know, you got to be careful with what your kids are doing, who your kids are around, and things like that. So I feel blessed we were able to just kind of be there and lay our eyes on them and touch them and always be there, you know.
Yep. You know, I used to say that to my son too, when he would go on AAU tournaments, just say, and I would say to him, you have to be careful with the kids that you hang with. And not to say anything against anybody, but there's a difference when you have kids that just are playing AAU just because it's AAU. That's great. And they have that weekend away versus these kids that want to play AAU and they want to take it far. They want to take it further. Right. And I would say to him, never put yourself in a position where you're with people who have nothing to lose.
Right. Well, what I would tell Jaden, as I told all my kids, be around like-minded people.
Yes, exactly.
I would always stress that. And, you know, one of my older sons, he was hanging out with a boy. He didn't play basketball. His grades weren't good. I was like, why are you hanging with him? I said, he's not moving in the same direction that you're moving in. I said, so you do not need to hang around with him because you have the good grades. You don't have a choice. And you're a basketball player. So you need to find friends or keep your friends that are like-minded, you know. So I've always told my kids, and I've always told Jaden, you know, have like-minded friends. They you know, they want to get a scholarship. They want to play basketball. Then those are the guys that you want to hang around.
Absolutely. And Jaden knew that he had a goal and he wanted to take his career somewhere else. So after one season at Tennessee, it was pretty clear that it was time to declare for the draft and push forward, which he did. He was invited to the combine and worked out for several teams. So let's talk about the days leading to the draft. How did mom prepare for that changing life moment?
Wow. I was actually busy planning the draft party. So, I mean, I had this elaborate facility and we were going to go there. First, I had to wait and see if he was going to get invited to the green room. So once it was final that he wasn't getting invited to the green room, I said, okay. So I ran out. Nice. Jaden was like, Mom, I really don't want to have a huge party like that. I don't want to, you know, I just want to be at home. And so I said, okay, well, then my wheels start turning. Of course, you know, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So of course I had to make it huge at home. And so leading up to the draft, I was so busy preparing for his draft party. I couldn't even focus on the fact that he was being drafted or when he was going to be drafted. I was just focused on making sure this party was going to be everything that he could remember. So that's what I was doing. But the day of, oh my goodness, the day of, I was nervous. I was like, okay, it's really here. It's the day, you know? So yeah, it was interesting.
So tell us, who was with you then on draft night? You're sitting there. Who is Barbarita sitting with other than Jaden, of course?
I was not sitting with anyone. I was all over the place. We had 150 people at the house.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that was I cut the list off at 150. I think a few more kind of snuck in there. I had someone at the gate with a list. And so we actually set up the whole backyard and had a big screen out there. And we made it look like the green room. We had, linen on it, high tables and things like that. So I was actually just making sure everybody was okay. I was being a hostess. So that way I couldn't focus on, when or if he was going to get called. I was too busy making sure my guests were okay and taking pictures and all that stuff. So it was, I wasn't sitting anywhere. I was all over the place.
Yes. I love that. I love that. You're keeping yourself busy.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that moment came and he was drafted 28th overall.
Yes.
To the Philadelphia 76ers. So tell us about that moment when you heard his name, you were running around and you put down the potato salad and you said, did they just say my child's name? Like, tell us about that moment right there.
So I think I sat down in the family room because, we tried to keep everybody outside, but so many people had come inside as well. Yeah. And I was sitting there and I was nervous because he worked out some teams from 8 to 22. So after 22, I'm thinking, oh gosh, they didn't call him. Okay, well, I'm just going to pray about it. Everybody's having a great time. And, we're just going to let the chips fall where they may. Yeah. So I was sitting there and I guess they announced his name outside first on the big TV outside because everyone started running inside. And I was like, what in the world is going on? They're like, yeah, Jaden's got drafted. And then the TV inside flashes Jaden Springer. And we were like, oh my, Jaden didn't even realize that he got drafted. Oh. And so it was just crazy. And the house just, went crazy. And we were all just like, oh my God, just elated, screaming, hollering, grabbing all over him. And then Doc Rivers called. He's like, hold on. So he had to run outside in the front to try and hear the call. And, it was a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. Yeah.
That proud mom moment.
Yes. Oh. Yes. Because it was like, oh my God, he's worked so hard. He sacrificed so much to get here because, while his friends were hanging out, he was at a workout. He was at practice. He was doing things to better himself on the basketball court. So it was a sacrifice for him as well.
Absolutely. So which brings me to my next question. There's a lot involved in the preparation that comes with becoming an NBA player, such as training, strength and conditioning, meal planning, and more. How did you help Jaden adjust to this now being a career and not just an activity?
Oh, wow. I think his dad more so prepared him because he understands the sacrifice. He understands the dedication that it takes to get to a higher level. So I think his dad more so prepared him for that basketball side. I tried to be more of an emotional support. Mom, I'm so tired. Okay, well, rest. Let me take your socks off. Let me take your shoes off. Let's make an appointment to get you a massage. Let's get cryo going. So I was more so on the emotional side and, trying to make sure he's taken care of. But my husband, he done a lot of the preparing him. And my husband always say the game is 90% mental and 10% physical. So he tried to prepare him and talk to him about the mental side as well as the physical side.
Yeah, that is very important. Very, very, very important. And it's good that I love the fact that that was recognized. Mind you, your husband has that experience, right? And your sons have already played basketball, so they understand, because a lot of people just think of bouncing a ball, getting a lot of money and going. And they're like, no, it's not. There's so much. They don't understand how tired these kids are. I mean, he went from NCAA to playing twice the amount of games, if more, or getting ready to play twice the amount of games, which is absolutely crazy. Now your body is a whole other thing now.
Yes, it is.
He's a baby. He's so young. So
just turned 19, and so but I think with where he is right now is good. because they have them going from, 76ers to the G League. And, so it's good. It's getting him prepared. It's getting him conditioned, and even that downtime of, having a major concussion, then going into COVID and then the stuff, your body just, not in shape anymore. So my husband's like, you ride a bike, make sure you just ride the bike and try and keep yourself conditioned. So, even third game back, he's still not 100%, but he's doing very well. So it's a lot of preparation. So I think his dad did a good job preparing him for, what's to come.
Yeah, it's a lot physically, like you're saying, especially physically. And then you have the mental side too, where they always have to be ready. They always have to be on top of their game, even though sometimes it just gets halted and all stops. They can't stop. They still had to be prepared, because you imagine they just stop playing and just waiting for things to happen. Then their bodies become out of shape, and then they come back and they get injured. So there's no stopping for athletes. They just have to keep going and be ready. So yeah, it's just all year round. And I think people think that's just during the season. No, no, absolutely not. So now let's talk about Summer League, where Jaden had his debut as an NBA player. So what was that whole experience like for you in Vegas?
I don't know. I was just so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so he's really going. I'm excited. So, and then I was getting to see some of my basketball nephews, as I call them, play. Like, God, I know so many of these kids now. And it was so awesome. It was amazing. And I was like, he's really going to get out here and play for an NBA team at Summer League. It was an awesome experience. I got to see him play. I also got to see him interact with what be his future teammates.
Yes.
So that was good. And then, I am just, my family, we hate losing. So, when we lost that game, I was like, oh no, we lost the game. How we can win, so I was all over the place. And then, like I said, it was exciting to see some of my quote unquote basketball nephews and some of the parents. And so it was very exciting, very exciting.
So what was that like, networking now with 76ers parents? Did you get to meet a few of them and just hang out, just be parents?
Right. We're still working through that, the COVID stuff, of course. So we don't have that family room anymore. My nephew, DeAndre Bembry, who plays for the Brooklyn Nets, during his time, it was a family room. So you got to see everybody and eat. So with the Sixers now, we don't have that family room. So we try and connect as much as we can. And so Denise, Tyrese Maxey's mom, Michelle Reed, of course, Paul Reed's mom. I have not Miss Drummond, I have not seen her. Miss Christine, I have not seen her yet. So it's kind of different right now. So I'm believing God, this COVID is going to go away and go on about its business, and then we can kind of all be together. So yeah, so it's been a little different.
That's coming. This is all going to wash away soon. And like you're saying, then you'll have that time for you now to develop your relationships with the parents. Your son's developing a relationship with the players, and you know what I mean? And you, on the flip side, get to see who the parents are. And yeah, it's an awesome thing to me, like when we tell our kids, you hang with like-minded kids. Well, it's the same for us.
Yes.
We need to hang with like-minded parents.
Right. And what I love is that I was able to speak with you and speak to some of the NBA moms already, because you guys were able to prepare me for what's to come, and I always believe in trying to prepare myself or connect with people who's at where I'm trying to get to, so I can see you guys or hear you guys and say, oh, wow, okay, this happens, and learn, because the support that the parents give, even right now, I'm still talking a lot to some of my my parents that was in the class of 2020. So, Kate Cunningham's mom, Carrie, and I talk all the time. Evan Mobley's mom, Nicole. And so, Molly Suggs, Jaden Suggs' mom. So it's just different. And Rona, of course, Moses Moody mom. Yeah. So we can all talk to each other about, what's going on right now, what we're feeling, and, who's hurt and what's going on. So that's great in itself. And then to have the flip side of the parents that are already there, it's just wonderful for me. I love it.
It is. And I remember those Zoom calls that we had a few moms together. And like you said, it was such a blessing because I was in that position where my son was the rookie. Difference is he was coming from overseas. He went undrafted. So now meeting other mothers, I was like, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? What happens? Because NBA was new for me as well. So I loved when we were all on the phone and we were on Zoom and we were all talking and giving you advice. So with that said, what is something that we all told you that you appreciated? Like, I don't know, just think of something that you were told you like, you know what? Thank you. This is such great information.
Yeah, I think the biggest things that I took away from it is a long season and just enjoy every moment that you can,
Yes.
and just support your son. I think that was, because 82 games, the number didn't stick. Once you guys started telling me, look, it's a long season, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Because again, you come from college and I'm at every game and, it's impossible to be at every game now, and I'm learning and to treasure every single moment, to enjoy every single moment, and I don't care whether he's with the Sixers or if he's with the Blue Coats G League. I'm there, I'm enjoying it. And, that I think that was the biggest thing that I got from you all.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. And I can't wait till we all get to resume these calls again and give each other updates and talk about, you know what I mean, things that we've experienced now. I'm sure the call with you would be different today than it was months ago because we spoke, I think, prior to him being drafted. So now, and I think we spoke maybe a day after, I think it was just before the draft or a day after the draft. So now it's like, let's see what's going on with Barbarita. So I can't wait until that actually happens again.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are some of the challenges that Jaden has faced so far?
I think the biggest challenge is the concussion was the first one. And he had a major concussion. That was the first one. And then the next thing was the COVID. And then the stomach virus. So I think that the biggest thing is him not being able to play and being sick. I think that's been the biggest challenge because he's loving every moment of whether he's with the Sixers or the Blue Coats, and he don't mind being with the Blue Coats because guess what? He's on the floor for 30-something minutes. Being with the Sixers, who's his playoff caliber team, and only getting 3 or 4 minutes, and then a couple of games not getting at all. So he's just excited. He's enjoying just, playing and being with either team. But his biggest challenge has been the concussion and the COVID and the stomach virus. So the biggest challenge is the illness, if you will.
Yes. And I love how you're saying he enjoys playing in the G League. And that's a moment of development, right? That's a time where at least they're playing, like you're saying, because in here you have some players that are just literally riding pine and you can't get better if you're sitting there, irregardless. Sometimes people say, oh, you're a rookie, you need to do your dues. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're still not getting better. So as a player, that's where the mental thing comes in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The G League is great because what people don't realize is that it's a developmental league. Yeah. The things that guys need to work on, they can work on. The practices are different. From the NBA, I mean, you having your practice, but the G League, you're getting up and down. You're playing, 2-on-2. You're playing 3-on-5-on-5. So you're getting up and down, where the 76ers, sometimes they may not make over plays and things like that. But it's even a difference in the practices in the workout. So I think that's what people don't realize is that it's a developmental league. And the G League treat those guys great. Back when it was the D League, of course, it wasn't so great, I should say. Yeah. But with this G League, it's wonderful. The president, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, he's done a great job since he's taken over these last, 4 years or so with the G League, because now the focus is really on developing these guys, getting them ready. And as you can see, so they had to shut down the G League. So many guys were called up to play on the main teams.
Imagine.
But they've been getting developed in the G League. So it's a blessing.
No, that's a beautiful thing because like you're saying, that was the purpose of it. Yes. And these guys need to keep moving. I mean, you're never really truly prepared until you're actually in it. Yes. So they cannot be prepared if they're just sitting there watching the show. So
Yes.
yeah, when my son played, it was D League. And then he went to the Magic, but he is where he is now. And of course, it's just a blessing, right? He's just blessed to be a
Yeah.
professional athlete. So
Yes.
as moms, we wear many hats. We're the nurturers, like you were saying earlier. We're the supporters. We're their guidance counselors. We're their nurse, the chef, the disciplinarian, and it goes on. When considering Barbarita's own hats, which one do you feel you wear the best?
Oh, wow. Wendy, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
Wow. Can it be like, those double-sided hats?
You can have 10 sides of your hats. Your hat.
I think for me, being the nurturer, being the mom, but then also the disciplinarian. I think those were the biggest things for me. I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
what do you think Jaden would say is your best hat?
That's a good question. He will definitely say that I disciplined him more than his dad. Dad hardly done it. So I'm not sure. But I know that he'll say I'm a nurturer too, because he's like, Mom, I'm okay. Mom, I'm an adult now. So I have to hear that. And I'm like, I don't care. You're still my baby, So I'm not sure which one he'll say. It'll probably be one or two, if not both of those.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll have to have you back on and we'll have to ask you, give you an opportunity to ask him.
Yes, I'm going to ask him.
Yeah. So this is your son's first year in the league. So essentially you are both rookies.
Yes.
Has it been what you anticipated thus far?
I think so, because I don't know if I came in with a lot of expectations or anticipated a lot. I just kind of came in green, if you will, just open-minded to say, okay, well, I'm here. Let's see what happens. And for me, I think that's been a great thing. And I would also pass that information along to the other moms, that kids that just go in open-minded, open-hearted, and support your son and support the team and kind of see what happens. And it's worked great because, again, I never expected him to be on the main team or the G League team. I didn't care where long he's there now. He has guaranteed money.
Yep.
And we're going to support him, and we're going to make sure that he's working to get better. Because as you know, it's hard to get that first contract, and it's even harder to get the second one. So,
amen. You listen, you ain't even lying. So, we wish Jaden the best, and it's such a blessing. For me, I love the fact that I was able to meet you prior to him getting drafted. My son he played NCAA ball. So I was amongst a lot of parents, and we all, we all had that goal. And we all just wanted our kids to make it to the league. But years later, my son's in it. And now I get to go back and meet mothers that were in the position that I was in. And I have such a new appreciation because it's different for me now. I don't see it. Before, I was that rookie mom.
mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to give you information. Don't do this. Be careful of this, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's just such a good thing. So for me, when I look at our kids, they're all my babies to me. And
yes.
Especially when I know the moms, I always call them and say, our babies are playing. I'm texting. And it's always all in love. You know what I mean? Hey, good luck to so-and-so. Hope we win, but good luck. And we stop texting, or we stop Zooming, and it's funny because at the end of the day, it's a family. Our boys are blessings, and they're great where they're at. So for me, I just thank you, because I learned from you as well. Because Jaden's path obviously is different than my son's path. So to hear how you brought him up and how you got him to where he is, I just love that, because now I can learn, and this information I can take, like you were saying, and share it with another mother and say, okay, well, guess what? This may work because so-and-so, this is what they did. So thank you. And with that said, I want to know, what is it like being the courtside mom to Jaden Springer?
It's fun. Oh my God, it's so much fun. I love it. Like it's so much fun. It's so, and I know I keep saying this, but it's such a blessing. Like, you know, you think about so many people that he's grown up playing basketball with and against that was trying to get here and they're not here.
Yeah.
Man, we don't take it for granted. And I tell Jaden 2 words all the time: be humble and be kind. Those are my 2 words to him. And now that, you know, he's where he want to be, and sure, he wants to get better. He wants to be this. He wants to be that. He wants to win the championship, all that kind of stuff. But he's here right now, and I'm so present, so in the moment, that it's just wonderful. You know, I don't care if they sit me in the very last row of the arena. I'm just happy and thankful to be there. You know, thank God we have great seats, but I'm just so happy and grateful and thankful to God that He's allowed us to be here. So.
I love that. And that is so true, because we could be anywhere else. And this is the path that was chosen for us. I never thought, even though I knew from when he was 3 that he was going to be 6'9". You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I knew he was going to be tall, but I never thought, you know what I mean, that it's going to be NBA.
Right.
I just knew basketball, but not NBA. So now I'm sitting here like, wow.
Yeah.
This is real. This is true. So I thank God for my path. And I'm happy that this path led me to do this show. And I'm getting to meet wonderful moms like yourself. And we can all sit and learn from each other and just raise our kids. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when they say it takes a community, well, to me, this is the community. This is the important community that will help each other bring our boys where they need to be, because with the information that we give each other can help. What you're telling me now is there's things in there that I can like, okay, I can bring this to my son, or he could tell them to a player. You know what I mean? So that's really, really, really important.
Yes.
I want to know some fun facts about Jaden. So what is Jaden's go-to dish you make that he always must have?
Oh Lord, Jaden want my crab legs. I mean, it's not even anything that's like, you know, extra special, but he's like, Mom, you're gonna make the crab legs. He loved the crab. And I have this pineapple tea that I make. He loves the pineapple tea. So those are his things: crab legs and pineapple tea. So yes.
I've never had pineapple tea. Okay, note to self.
It's so you have to make it. All it is people like, well, how do you make it's the Lipton instant iced tea mix with the lemon. Put that in there, some water, Dole's pineapple juice, and a little sugar, and that's it.
Wow. Simple. Look at that.
Yes.
I think, Barbarita, you're starting a Courtside Mom's cookbook. You never know. Or a beverage book. Yeah. So you have basketball kids in your family. So, what is one childhood item Jaden couldn't live without other than a basketball?
Oh my gosh, that was it. It's nothing else. I mean, like the kid would literally sleep with a basketball. Like there was nothing else. It was just basketball. There's no teddy bear, no blanket, basketball. And that is it.
That's awesome. She's like, no, no, that's just what it is.
I tried because I never wanted him. I didn't want to hear I want to be an NBA player. And I didn't want to hear that. What else do you want to be? So when he was younger, he would say a race car driver. I don't know where that came from, but it was just, I felt like I was failing as a parent because he wasn't saying, you know, well, I want to be a basketball player, but if I'm not a basketball player, I want to be. And then one of my girlfriends like, you know what? You always teaching, speak faith, speak it into existence. Stop him from, don't tell him, don't say I want to be an NBA player only. Let him say that. And I was like, well, you're kind of right. But, you know, it makes you nervous because, you know, there's life after basketball.
Yes.
So, you know, that was it. It was just the basketball.
Well, speak it into existence and look what happens, right? So good advice from your friend. So, did he have a nickname? And if so, do share.
Oh my gosh, he had so many nicknames. He was called Beast. He was called Bookie Boy. He was called Cream. What's some more his other names? Oh my God, he has so many. gosh, I can't even think of them all.
That's
He
awesome.
had basketball nicknames, and then he had family nicknames. And so, yeah, he had so many.
That's awesome. What advice would you give to another courtside mom about dealing with a coaching decision she does not agree with?
Ooh, I've always been one to just, you know, let the chip fall where they may, and tell my son to work it out. So I would tell her, pray about it, just hold your peace, and just advise your son, keep working through it. Your time is going to come. If you continue to work hard and do the right things, they can't deny you. Yeah. So that's always been my mindset, and that's what I would pass along to someone else.
Now, what advice would you give to a player on how to deal with a tough teammate?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know, because we've never really had to deal with anything like that. Of course, you have that teammate who look you off and don't want to pass you the ball, or they feel like you getting off and they want to get off. I don't know, because I really have not had, or at least let me put it this way: Jaden never ever dogs out his teammates. He never really, because even as parents will say, I know he's seeing you, he's looking you off, and you still pass him the ball. And so, my husband would say, just keep playing the right way, and, although he's playing the right way, we see what another kid is doing. So he's never really, dogged out his teammates or talked bad about his teammates. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's hope that it'll never come to where he feels the need to speak to somebody about someone who's tough on him, right? Because like you're saying, you never know, right? We hear of these kids that want to play and then they get dogged out on the court. You're like, I'm standing here, I'm open, but no, it's all about them, right? And that happens often.
Yeah, and I think too, he's been blessed to be in a situation where the coaches identify the players. IMG, the coach is trying to win. So if you're not playing, you're not working hard in practice, you're not hustling, you're not, a good teammate, Coach Sean McLoon would not play that player, would sit that player down. And so, they've had a teammate that didn't work hard and didn't want to do anything in practice, but the coaches handle it. So, the guys didn't have to jump on that one player, which when you go to a school like an IMG or a Montverde, you're not going to have an opportunity to just be a slack or a nasty teammate, So we've been blessed in that sense, not to have to deal with it, I think, as well.
Right. And my last question is, if you could only give one piece of advice to another courtside mom, what would that piece of advice be?
Stay prayerful. That's all I could say.
Love it. Love it. And that is so true. That's such great advice, because for me, prayer is powerful.
And things out of our control, right?
Yeah.
So we can't physically go there and choke the coach if we feel like it. We can't physically go there and go off on the team. We can't. There's nothing we can do but encourage us and pray about it. And God, you intervene, you take care of the situation. So I just believe in being prayerful, because really the NBA you're a professional now. Moms don't have anything to say, even with college, the coaches, you can talk to the coaches. Are they going to listen to you? Probably not, and then you don't want to complain too much and make it bad on your kid, So college and NBA, is really out of your hands and out of your control. So
your kid never wants to be in that position where they're like, oh, here comes Jaden's mom.
Right. Right. So it's out of your control. Like I said, the NBA, it is your profession now. They're not trying to hear from moms.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that moms have to be mindful of, right? We have to realize that too. This is their job. We don't want our kids coming to our jobs and calling us down, or, you know what I mean? So it's the same thing. So let's be mindful of that and just have good fun. You know what I mean? This is a great time, a great position that our kids are in, and let's just all enjoy it together as a happy family.
Yes.
With that said, thank you so much, Barbarita, for coming to Courtside Moms. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Courtside Moms and make sure you subscribe to the podcast.